All right, so welcome back. This is Inside Pages on Metro Television. It's about it's 9 o'clock. It's 9 on the dot. It's now time for us to have a conversation that's from the camp of the vice president, the sitting vice president, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. This week, he took the step to meet the majority side in Parliament to announce his intention to contest on the ticket of the New Patriotic Party as flag bearer. Going into the 2024 elections. Now, it started as pure speculations. It was being rumored that the vice president was interested, and so on and so forth. Now, he's taking something more visible, something more tangible, a step to sort of announce his intention to contest. And so let's talk to the majority chief whip and also the member of parliament for Nsawam. That's the Honorable Frank Anodompre. He was in that meeting. Will you tell us what happened and whether indeed the vice president has the majority of the parliamentarians on his side, as we're being told? Good morning, the Honorable Member of Parliament for Nsawam. Thank you very much for joining us on Inside Pages.
Good morning, my brother.
And it's good to have you.
Good to have you too. It's been a very long time.
It's actually been decades.
Yeah, it's good to have you back.
Right. Thank you very much. So first of all, as a member of parliament for the Nsawam constituency, I've asked this question anytime I meet persons who are aligned with campaigns. I ask them why they decided to join one particular candidate or the other, or aspirant or the other. In your case, why did you decide to align with the Bawumia campaign?
Okay, first of all, if you followed up the tradition of our party, right, if you read the history particularly, right into the 60s, down memory lane, and to Sunyane, popular Sunyane Congress, where President J. Kufuor emerged over now President Kufuor. You will realize that has been the culture in our party. Anytime we go in doing internal politicking, and especially activities towards the election of a flag bearer, it's always gathered momentum and it's always been intense. I have been a party boy, so to speak, a party boy. I've done some work as a TESCON. I've done some work as a polling station executive. I've been a regional youth organizer. So I've gone through the meal, and I've been associated with the party, privileged to have been associated with the party at my youthful age. Okay, so to a large extent, I understand this party so well. If you look at the history, how the Northern People's Party and all that, we've moved from that tangent up to now. And also, particularly if you look at the strength the comparative strength that Dr. Bawumia comes along. This is a respected Muslim who cuts across, accepted by the Christian community largely, and somebody who appealed to the so-called minority tribes who, for a long time in our body politic, and as I'm emphasizing on the history, has more or less been a challenge for us as a tradition, as a party, and all the unfortunate propaganda and tag that has been put on us as a party. So I believe that strategically, if the party is being strategic and we are seeking to do something that has not been done for a long time in our body politic, especially for the recent times. 2008, to all intents and purposes, President Kufuor has laid out a huge infrastructure outlay, and the country was set on a huge pedestal to change the fortunes of our country. And we thought that President Kufuor hand over to Nana Kufuor, and yet it didn't happen. So with the benefit of hindsight, okay, and also moving forward in the direction that will change the fortunes of this tradition, and for once, this country can break that ice of 8-year rule, sustainable leadership, and continue the good works that the previous administration has started. I'm consumed by that determination, that desire to see that succeed. So if you, all the names we've heard, all the names, Mr. Lanche Martin, who I've worked with, when I work with him as a member of the Free Zone Board, I know him very well. And continuously I've said that when it comes to trade, there is nobody in this country who knows trade issues better than Mr. Lanche Martin. And I respect him as a senior party member. I respect him as one of our senior party figureheads. If you look at Kwabena Japan, for instance, a young, vibrant, dedicated party servant, and I respect him a lot. But I'm saying, this is just by the by, I'm saying that amongst all these identities and these personalities whose name I've come across, I can't help it because I know, I can feel it, I can see it, I can assess it that if we are determined and positioned as a tradition, as a party to win, we shouldn't look beyond Dr. Bawumia. And the reasons are not far-fetched. The reasons are not far-fetched at all. If I'm being a bit simplistic, if you look at it, 2008, fallout from the 2008, and Dr. Bawumia was given, even from the 2016, where he was given the role to have a certain concentration in the three northern regions. From 2016 all the way to 2020 election, the dividends abound. The Dr. Bawumia, the DMB factor has reflected. If you combine the three northern regions all put together, we have more seats. For the first time historically, we have more seats, at least in recent time, we have more seats in parliament than the NDC, who are credited as being the northern region being their stronghold. Okay, so NDC is strong in the voter region, NDC is strong in the northern region. 2008 again, when the NDC won 8 regions, we were pushed to only 2 regions, the Ashanti region and Eastern region, and yet the NDC was struggling to win. Now, it goes without saying, and the begging question is that we cannot be limited as a national party to only 2 regions, Ashanti region and Eastern region. No. And clearly, reasonably, it has become clear that Dr. Bawumia's adventure, Dr. Bawumia's continuous adventure in the northern region is beginning to yield real and credible evidence to our traditional party. And after all, if you recall, after 1957, when party emerged, the UP party emerged from the UGCC, the northern region, the Northern People's Party, had 12 to 13 seats. So clearly you could see that the northern region has always been a safe haven for our party. For some reason, we fell apart. And Dr. Bawumia's instrumentality and support, we are beginning to get the northern region back. If we make that success, getting the 3 northern regions as planned and scheduled, we make it in Eastern region, Ashanti region is huge, we are then home and dry. Again, we are supposed to be a national party, and it cannot be the case that the Zongo communities will always vote against us. We have a clear and wonderful example as a respected Muslim who is accepted by the Christian community, that somebody who can reduce the votes of the NDC in the Zongo community, somebody who can reduce the votes of the NDC in the northern region, people with the Ashanti region and Eastern region. We cannot pretend. We cannot ignore Dr. Bawumia's factor. That's why, against all intent and purpose, I am consumed with reason and logic that indeed, if we love this party, we love this tradition, we want to continue and build on Akufo-Addo's legacy, then the only option for us is to go for Dr. Bawumia. And I'm not surprised if you come to Parliament today, and I hear many people making counter-argument that is not the case. Well, it's only time will tell. We have a special delegate congress in August, and then the main one in November. I tell you, presently, we have not less than 80% of the members of parliament who have all aligned with Dr. Bawumia, and you cannot fault them because the logic and the reason and the evidence on the ground points to the fact that he is our best bet. It's as simple as that.
Right. So, first of all, I don't know why. Did you deliberately switch off the video? Because I thought we were going to have I was actually going to see you on the screens, but we can't get you on the video.
Bear with me. I'm having some difficulty. Okay. I equally want to appear on video, but I'm having difficulty. Getting it on. I'm so sorry for that.
That's fine. We'll manage with this. So I think the point you're making is that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is coming, and is coming like Akai.
I mean, that is now in the public domain.
Right.
And for me, if you look at the history again, President Kufuor had majority of MPs, members of parliament supporting him. As Sunyani, President Kufuor emerged as our flag bearer. He continued in the 2008. President Kufuor continued to be elected as the president in the year 2000. Nana Addo, His Excellency, then candidate Kufuor, had emphatic majority of members of parliament supporting his bid. Lo and behold, Nana Addo emerged. So there is a clear emerging trend. Today, Doctor has shown respect to the members of parliament, appreciating the essence. And he has always been eloquent and always been saying that if we are to win the 2024 election, it has to be prosecuted along the lines of members of parliament. Because for a long time in our body politics, anybody who wins a majority of seats largely constitute the executive. And there's not going to be any exception. So he showed us respect and came to us and sucked our blessings. You should have been there to see. It was a full house, and you could tell. I know my members of parliament so well. As a whip, I know them so well. If they support something, if they are comfortable with something, if they are going for certain decision, I know it and I can feel it. So that is clear, and there's no doubt about it. I know Doctor is going to emerge, but we want to prosecute an agenda of a clean campaign, no insults, no vituperations, no attacks on any candidates, whosoever. At the end of the day, this is just a process to an end. We are just beginning the process, internal process, to elect our flag bearer. Let's all be civil and decorous. Let's stay away from ethnic and religious, campaign. Because after all, my brother, if you look at the Asian tigers and all the countries who are emerging, becoming, dovetailing and getting the attention of the world, there is no country that lays emphasis on ethnicity or religious ethnicity. We should focus on competence. We should focus on ability to do. We should focus on somebody who is in tune with the current realities of global geopolitics and somebody who can deliver on the strengths and the weaknesses of our present government and move us into the direction that we are all seeking to achieve. Ghana has been credited as the Black Star of Africa, and all the good things that have been said about this country right from independence in 1957 up to now. We've come of age, and we've gotten to a point where we need somebody who can take this country to that pedestal and to that level that we are all looking for. And for me, I have no doubt in my mind that with his pedigree and competence and his level of awareness, and with particularly hindsight benefit being living in this administration, with the hindsight benefit, he will improve upon Akufo-Addo's legacies and take us to that dreamline.
Now, but the NPP also has a tradition, the tradition of long service. In fact, if you monitor and you follow the Alan campaign, all they're telling us is Edruoso. In fact, all the health works that are being held is the Alan Edruoso campaign, because they'll tell you that when it was one of the things that actually catapulted the sitting president Nana Akufo-Addo into where he is at the moment, because the party says, the party supporters said, well, everybody's competent, but we just feel that this is Nana Akufo-Addo's time. He's senior, the rest can wait. When he's done with his term, the younger ones can follow. And so they're saying that as far as they're concerned, that principle hasn't changed in the NPP. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has a lot of time on his hand. He should wait, Alan finish, and then he can continue. So unless, of course, the Edruoso mantra has vanished in the NPP because you want Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia to become the flag bearer. What do you make of this argument that the pro-Alan or pro-other competitors are saying?
Well, first of all, my brother, it's good you brought this up. There is nothing cast in stone in the world.
Right.
Nothing is a certainty in the world. And you see, what my colleagues in the Alan campaign are failing to realize is that politics is dynamic. Leadership is dynamic. You see, if you're not careful, you'll be living in the past. The so-called Edruoso mantra is not relevant now. It's not relevant now. Okay, the reality is that Dr. Bawumia has emerged, and right from history, even historic time. If you go back into the biblical times, ancient times, there are times that people emerge through the hand of God. I believe that Dr. Bawumia is emerging from the hand of God, and this Drew Sote is not working. I am a grassroots member of our party. Anybody who knows me right from the grassroots knows what I believe in. I'm telling you that this Drew Sote mantra is not catching on. The Nanado's Drew Sote is different, and the times are different. So politics is dynamic. Leadership is dynamic. They should just accept the reality. Now, even in Ashanti region, where Alan is supposed to be popular, my brother, do your survey in the Ashanti region.
I understand. So I get that. So Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has started. He's met the majority in parliament. What was the feeling? What was the atmosphere? You're saying that from all indications, there's absolutely no doubt that he has the majority of the MPs on his side. We're looking at what numbers?
I know we have 131 now. We have 137. Condolences to the family of Baswa and to the entire nation as we prepare to mourn our brother. The fact is that I've told you, and I don't want to repeat myself. The 137 we have presently, Dr. Bawumia will garner not less than 120 out of the 137.
Okay.
So that is a fact.
How significant? How significant is that? The fact that he is the majority. That indeed, if what you're saying is absolutely true, why is that important? That he has 120 members of parliament on his side.
For very obvious reasons.
Okay.
Don't forget the MPs were voted by the grassroots, the polling station executives. So the MPs largely reflects the grassroots mandate in terms of who they want to represent in parliament. So from the word go, of course, I know since the time the MPs were elected, there have been a number of years now. So one way or the other, some may be unpopular in one way or form. But I'm telling you that if you have about 80% plus of the MPs on your side, you have close to 60% of the grassroots on your side.
Okay.
And any clever politician would want to cash in on that to his or her benefit. And so it's extremely significant. In my constituency, for instance, in Salma Dweji, I have 1,000 members of parliament, 1,000 polling
delegates,
station
you mean?
Executive.
Okay.
Yes, delegates as delegates. As of the last primaries I attended, I won 70% of the delegates on my side. And I've continuously worked on them from that time up to now. I tell you, as I speak, I have close to 80% of the delegates on my side. And most of them will listen, will associate with what I say. Okay? So if you are to do extrapolation of this reasoning, then you can say that from the outset, Dr. Bawumia is already, even in the grassroots, he's already leading by some 70%. There's a bit of groundwork to do, and then he can increase it to even 90%. So it's extremely significant for anybody to gloss over the relevance of members of parliament that I don't know what the person is about.
Two quick questions.
In darkness.
Right. Two quick questions before you take leave of us, because we don't have all day. But why has the vice president decided to launch his campaign bid now? I remember when Alan resigned, there were all kinds of talk about the timing. The economy is in bad shape. You're supposed to help the president put the economy in a good shape pretty much before you go ahead to announce your own personal ambitions. He came under that flag. The economy hasn't changed, and the economy is still in a bad shape. Why does the vice president believe this is the time? I mean, doesn't he fear he may come under that same kind of criticisms?
No, it's taking a while. First of all, he has not launched his campaign. The vice president has not launched his campaign.
Okay.
What I do know and understand is that he was consulting, okay? And that meeting was not open to the public. He was consulting the elders of the party if you like, the creme de la creme of the party, of which the members of parliament constitute a significant portion of these groupings that he was consulting with. So he consulted with, it was supposed to be a backstage consultation. Okay. He hasn't done any public pronouncement. So that one, we can grant him the benefit of that. But again, it is also because of the unique position of the vice president position, as elucidated by the Constitution. It is only the vice president who can go out, launch campaign, declare his intention without necessarily have to, resign. So it is also because of his position. Again, in the absence of the president, it is the vice president who has to stand in his position and instead. So the vice president is found in a certain unique position, and his position cannot be equated or compared to that of the ministers. But I'm telling you again about the economy. Clearly, yes, we accept, and we have not pretended about it. As a good administration and as a political party and government, we have not pretended about the dire nature of the economy and the challenges we are facing. Consistently and repeatedly, the president has carried the country along, speaking to the challenges that we face as a country. I'm telling you, my brother, if you can mark this day, incrementally and clearly, you can see a continuous effort by the government, first of all, work to reduce the cost of doing business. Again, the export price of fuel, which dovetails into other social costs of.
No, but I know. I mean, Honourable, don't get me wrong. I know all of these efforts that are being made to take us out of the economic doldrums we find ourselves. My point is, we're not out of the woods yet. But the point well made. The vice president hasn't launched his campaign yet, strictly speaking, so to speak. He's only preparing to do that. The Honourable, it's my final question to you before you take leave of me. I don't know you're still there. I know I've lost you. Unfortunately, it looks like I've lost the Honourable Member of Parliament for Nsawam, because I was going to ask about what we hear about people being coerced and being forced to throw their weight behind the vice president, whether indeed that is true. But I have Professor Kobe Mensa here. I mean, he's a political marketing strategist. He will help us navigate some of this the nuanced nature of the MPP's internal politics and internal contestations. And, there's all these factors that are already coming in and so on and so forth, the tribe and religion and, long service, they drew, so and all of that. In fact, we've just heard him say, look, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is the only one who can reduce the NDC's votes in the northern region and reduce the NDC's votes in the Zango communities. And that's, of course, the assumption underlying why they believe that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is the guy for the moment. Professor Kobe Mensa, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning, Mauro.
Congratulations.
Good to see you.
Order, isn't it? I mean, you were just recently, awarded a professorship, and I have not had opportunity to congratulate you. So now that you're here, I want to say big congratulations. I mean, you're more than deserve it.
Thanks so much for that. Let me say that associate professorship.
Okay. It's associate professorship.
Exactly.
Help us understand what is it. A full professorship, associate professorship. What's the difference?
Actually, we don't use the word full professor. It's actually a professor and associate. So the associate level, there's a description to it. There's a descriptive, that associate professor, which means that you have achieved tenure, but you are still junior to a professor. So we could actually put it that way. Not necessarily as a junior. I'm just using it as a way of differentiating between a professor and an associate professor. So
interesting. Let me read some messages that have come through quickly before I start with Prof. So this one here is from Bath Bismarck. So followers or crowds or rally days should not be trusted, or else NDC would have won the previous elections. However, if that be the case, the Alan and his followers should concentrate in the Alan areas alone. However, I heard the man saying that Alan is a true MPP, and yes, and I want to ask him whether there are fake MPP members in the party. If they want power, they should bring Bawumia into power, or they'll be back to a position. That's Johnson from Adenta. Alan is far better than any of the candidates, but since he's among those who've created the mess in the country, it is his time to lead the country will come later. Tony Asedu in Oseno. Now, when you take out insults and attacks from Bawumia to President Mahama, he's left with nothing to offer the MPP and Ghanaians as a whole. I'll be happy Bawumia wins the flag bearership race for the MPP. I always pray for him to win and to face JDM in 2024, and let's see who is who. Bawumia is going to be the easiest candidate to beat. He has nothing to offer to the good people of this country. Alhaji Hamza from Pig Farm, Adodompré, come back. Wrap up. Okay, he wants me to wrap up with Adodompré. I think Dr. Bawumia is the best candidate to break the eighth because he will get more votes from the North, plus the Shanti and Westing, unless you're Alan supporter in the studio suggests that Ashantis will not come out to vote if the flag bearer of NPP isn't an Akan. And if that is the case, then NPP should forget crowd, because we from the north will remain at the tails from, that's coming from Aminu Kasimu in Kumasi. And this one here from Kamaluddin, it says, more the humility of the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, is so visible to all. Again, his impact in Ghanaian politics cannot be underestimated. He has been the most effective Vice President thus far in the Republic. He shall lead the NPP in breaking the 8th come 2024, inshallah. Greetings, Honorable Ambrose Derry, Minister of Interior, and lawyer Jerry Ahmed Shuaib, incoming PC for Wejagbawe constituency. And then this one, Koku. This one is from Koku. Koku Maulin Nanegba. It says, Moro, what would Alan Cash and Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia do differently that has not been seen under the Akufo-Addo government? Candidate Akufo-Addo in 2016 said he picked Dr. Bawumia for two main reasons: to build a resilient economy and a strong CD. As we speak today, both the economy and the CD are at their terrible worst under Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia as head of the EMT. What a solid team. But Moro, kindly tell my friend, Honorable Arnold Prayer, that I'm still waiting for the answer to my long-asked question today. Do we eat road or infrastructure projects? Koku Mauli, not I think the Honorable Frank Arnold Prayer is back. We'll just wrap up with him with just my final question to him. Honorable, welcome back. Hello, Honorable. Hello, Honorable. Hello, Honorable. Hello, Honorable. Hello, Honorable. I've got one last question to ask Honorable. He's back on his Zoom link. Okay, so we'll work the lines and get him back so that I can ask my final question to him about whether there's any coercion or there's any, how do you call it, people being actually forced to join the campaign, the Bawumia campaign, and for whatever reason, and it's been speculated out there. So we wanted to run it by him. Good. So, Honorable Frank Dompre, Honorable Arno Dompre, good to have you back.
Yeah, it's my brother. Good to have you back too.
Great. So my final question to you will be that how true is it that some of you, not necessarily you, but the some persons who are being coerced, you are literally being threatened to vote for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia or to associate with Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, or else you're in trouble?
No, first of all, this party, if you know this party very well, people speak their mind in this party, and people, it's a democratic party, as you know, and people speak their mind, first of all, to start with. And I don't know the category of people you are referring to. I will speak for members of parliament. And with respect, there is nobody, read my lips, nobody forcing any member of parliament to declare in the direction of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. No, all the members of parliament who are aligning with the man, and you see, for anybody to say that somebody is being forced is a disrespect to the members of parliament. And I hear my colleagues on the other side keep saying that people have been bribed and people have been forced. It is neither here nor there. People are supporting the man out of genuine support, and particularly because of their belief in him. So those who are saying that should probably find something else to say. No person has been forced. No person can be forced. In fact, there are a number of MPs who are supporting the other supposed candidates. Can they also be described as being forced to support this candidate? I am saying that it's only time that will tell whether people are being forced or not. The votes that the man will garner ultimately will reflect whether they were being forced or not. There is no compulsion. Nobody is being impelled. People are coming out of their own genuine respect and genuine belief in the man. So our distractors should find other reasons and should find other things to say, but not to say that people are being forced. It is not true. It is the most absurd propaganda I've heard.
Okay. Let me thank you so very much, Honorable, for your time. It's been wonderful talking to you, sir.
I think that I want to thank you, and we will have to make time, and probably I'll come to the studio. We can have a more detailed discussion on this subject matter.
Right. But so sorry, just a quick one. So when next? I mean, he's still consulting. How long does he intend to consult? Can you give us any idea when the vice president would formally be launching his campaign?
You know, the vice president has a beautiful feature that most people don't know. One of his beautiful and admirable features is that he always surprise. He gives us surprise. I know that there will be another surprise. So that I cannot tell for the surprise yourself.
All right. So we should just keep our fingers crossed. That's it. Okay. All right, that's the Honorable Frank Anodompreh. He's a member of parliament for the Nsawam Adredri constituency. He's also the majority chief whip. He's a member of the Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia campaign, telling us why the vice president decided to meet the majority in parliament, the council conversations that took place there, and, he's actually confirming the majority of the MPs are on his side. He's also confirming that the vice president would maybe getting close to 120 MPs on his side. And I asked him about the significance of that. So what? 120 MPs on your side and so on. So no, it's significant because these MPs have, to a very large extent, some influence over the delegates, so branch executive, ward coordinators, regional constituency, etc., etc. So for him, it's extremely important. And so, of course, the underlying assumption is that once the MP is on your side, most of the delegates will also going to be on the side, or 70% or so. So that's why for them, it's a big deal. Anyway, so let's now talk to Professor Kobe Mensa, but I also want to say that I told you that I'll be having a conversation with Sadiq, well, we all call him Baba Sadiq, affectionately, that's how we call him. I told you that this is a man who is redefining politics in the Okaikwe Central in ways that has never been seen before, unprecedented. Never have we had the Okaikwe Central in such a limelight, in such under the spotlight, where Ghanaians are talking about Okaikwe Central. They can't believe that, such an enigma is contesting in that position. He wants to become the member of parliament. And indeed, the constituents themselves can't wait to have him there as their member of parliament because he will bring them some more attention. So there's going to be more euphoria. There's going to be more focus on that attention, on that constituency, etc., etc. And so it's understandable. And, I sitting here, I endorse him and I have no shame. I endorse him. I think he's a fantastic chap. I think he'll do a good job. That he'll be joining us shortly for a quick conversation. Now, Prof, you've been monitoring the internal contestations within the MPP, and it appears that the front runners at the moment is the Vice President and Alan Kwejo Chairman, the former Trade Minister. Then all of a sudden, there's talk about tribe. Let's talk about religion. Let's talk about he's a JJC. He's a Johnny Just Come in the scheme of things because Alan has been there for a long time. And so they say, to be fair, he's the one who deserves to lead the MPP. And that the MPP's mantra has always been, which is long service, which is Yenimu Frititete. There's even talk about something that the sitting president said before when he became the flag bearer. He said, well, he has to be president first before Alan comes. And for them, then to interpret that is to say that Alan is the automatic heir to the throne after President Kufuor. I mean, how do you put all of this in context? And before you come in, let me just say that Baba Sadiq is also here. Baba Sadiq, it's good to see you. Good to see you too. Oh, you've become the talk in town. Like everybody's talking about Baba Sadiq. Unbelievable. Yes. This is incredible. Yes. And I think until you decided to get into the race or throw your heart into the ring, nobody will talk about Okaikwe Central. I mean, Kunewa. Who cares about Okaikwe Central? But all of a sudden, everybody's talking about Okaikwe Central. I'll tell you what magic you've been doing. I'll come back to you and ask you what magic you've been doing in that constituency because you look like. You seem to have a Midas touch. Everything you touch tends to gold. Right. And you've got the track record to do that. Yes. Because I look at your meteoric rise in the tourism, arts, creative media space, and in any case, you are no guts, no glory.
No guts, no glory. Right.
Yeah.
I'll come back to you, but let me just do this one quickly.
In Western politics, they say that he's a rock star candidate.
Rock star candidate.
All right.
Actually, he used to be called Rockstar, actually. Back in the day.
Which we transferred to Kwame Eugene now. So
Kwame
Eugene owns that now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So you see, you're not wrong at all. I mean, that's the Rockstar. So he'll tell us more about himself. But let's do this quickly. So what's happening within the MPP? Why? I
think that, first of all, let me create a context. The context is that I am actually speaking from the position of my analysis of the political system as a political marketing strategist.
Right.
Of course, I'm speaking also from the position of the Ghanaian. We had always said that the political parties go ahead to choose the leaders for us. As academics, we have always thought that process itself has a problem because you have a group of people who decide who becomes the president of this country, and I'm of that particular position. And so as academics, when we get opportunity, we've got to actually set the tone so that those who have the mandate to select the leaders will select the leaders that are fit for this country, because in the end, their selection actually impact a lot of it on our lives. So we have to be sure that we're actually educating the public on the kind of selections they would make. Now, let's go to the MPP. Traditionally, as you have always talked about, the MPP had a particular way of selecting, candidates electing the candidate. Obviously, at a time when Edu Boyne, the popular Edu Boyne actually contested and lost to Jerry Rawlings. Obviously, Kufuor came, by which time Kufuor had already competed Edu Boyne. All right, so he had a certain base. Then, of course, Kufuor lost that election. Onward, obviously, Nana-Addo had competed Kufuor, etc. And then eventually Kufuor took over, and then Nana-Addo came. So you could see that even if it is not a sanctioned or legislated process, there's some kind of what we call a norm, all right, some kind of unconventional processes within the MPP. The NDC, on the other hand, did not have that particular process, because obviously it was very much dominant by a person, Jerry Rawlings. All right, and so I tend to look at it from the perspective that in the early years of the Fourth Republic, the NDC was very much personality dominant, whereas the MPP was very much collective. All right, and so when Kufuor took over, he said that, we have the men. That is when that mantra came. Right. And that came because Kufuor was criticized by the NDC as not having the competency it takes to rule, because they cited his track record and said he's the lawyer, hadn't been to law courts, those arguments that he managed companies and he collapsed them. Right. So they brought that criticism. But Kufuor said, well, I'm not the one who is going to rule, although I'm the leader, but I have the ability to assemble the right minds. Okay. So he showed his capacity or his competency to bring together. Of course, you could say that those criticisms, some of it you would say were propaganda. But he didn't fight it. He said, well, if you say that, I'm not the one I'm going to bring some. So you could see that the NDC had a different kind of approach to MPP's way of electing candidacy. So you have people referring to those bases. I do agree that there are dynamics, political dynamics, and so things will change. But we have to be mindful also, because we're not actually choosing leadership based on demographics, right, that someone comes from somewhere, someone is younger than somebody, etc. No, we're looking at leadership competencies that would make this country go the places that we want them to go. And so when you look at the argument about Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, absolutely fantastic young man, right, that nobody would actually argue about his humility, his temperament, etc. But mind you, none of the leaders that we have had the apprenticeship position for us to test their track record. All right, we could only use their track record in either public service or in private service as a sign, or what we call the signal in theory, to determine what they would do when given the presidency. Right. The only person that had that opportunity is Dr. Bawumia, right, who had actually come into the presidency. Of course, Mahama, former President Mahama also had that opportunity, okay. But of course, his selection was different. I mean, obviously, when the Atta Mills passed, then he was almost, was a coronation, and then leading to. But in this case, as Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's case, it is about having performed as a vice president and going on to be selected, as the leader. And so there are certain clear structure, right, of determining his capacity, his competencies. Right. And so you would see those dynamics come into play. But I always say that we shouldn't actually determine leadership by demographics. Right. It shouldn't be the case.
It should show competence.
It should show competence. And those competences are clear. Now, how do we determine competence? When somebody hadn't been in a position, we could determine competences by their behavior and what they say.
Right.
All right. So they could be saying the right things. They have the right characteristics. They exhibit or they actually portray a certain leadership qualities until they are given the job.
Right.
And so if a staff is coming to the company, their CVs talk for them, their look talk for them,
So
their
what you're saying
behavior.
essentially is about the deliverables,
It's about delivery.
not necessarily about the rhetoric.
No, because at the point when he hadn't become, the president, hadn't been given, we can judge you by your previous positions, which aren't, government,
Right.
or which aren't
Sure.
presidential. So we could say that, you performed in private life, etc. When you get into the position of a president, and that's what President Mahama said, you haven't been president before, the constraints are completely different because you have a whole international community to deal with. When you're dealing with a private life, you don't do that. So there are so many constraints that we have to bring to bear in determining your capacity, your competencies. And so you can say the right words, which, of course, when coming to as a vice president, he said the right words, he did everything else, on the premise that he was coming to deliver the economy. On that score, can we say that he's performed?
I get it. Let me. I think for me, it's a rhetorical question. It's just, everybody's entitled to
Yeah, of
answer
course.
the way they want to answer it. You've left it where you're supposed to leave it, and that's fine.